Hey, what's up, Powerhouse? It's Josh, and I'm here with my friend Emily.
Hi.
And we are so excited to bring our fourth teaching
in our
series
yeah.
on Flourish. If you missed the other three, make sure that you go back and check them out. There's some incredible speakers, including my mom. She thought I was going to say me, not me, including my mom. She was amazing.
But you were also one of them too.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that was, you get paid double. That's great.
Thank you.
So, no, but hey, we're so glad you're here. And I hope by now, as we've been doing this online church thing, that that you found somebody to watch this with. I know I was talking to a couple of you this last week of, making tacos and hanging out as a family and watching these together. If you don't have anybody to watch these with and you're like, you just want to get connected and involved, email us at info@phmfolsom.org. We'd love to invite you to one of our home groups and watch one of these things together in community, and hopefully we'll be back in person soon. And with that, I think we have some announcements.
Yeah, so this past Wednesday, our youth students got together for our Wings and Worship event. It was just a super simple night. We played a bunch of games, got together, and just spent some time worshiping and praying over our students. So go ahead and check out this dope highlight.
Hello!
Hi.
What is your name?
I'm Connor.
Connor! I'm Bree. So I was just wondering, Connor, what is your favorite youth event at Powerhouse?
My favorite event is by far Winter Retreat. It's just I love the snow. I love going to Tahoe. We all stay in the same cabin, so it's you get to hang out with your buddies.
Yeah.
And the second night, that's a different feeling. That's the most powerful thing you can experience here. It's just, everybody breaks down that night, and it's just a really powerful moment.
Hello! What is your name?
Shaylin.
Shaylin! Oh, so nice to meet you. So I have a question for you. What was your favorite youth event here at Powerhouse?
Crush.
Crash! Ah! Thank you so much for sharing. I know you're a little nervous. No reason to be nervous.
My name's Samaje.
Nice to meet you. Okay, I have a question for you. What is your favorite youth event here at Powerhouse?
My favorite event was Heartstoppers. That was scary
Why?
because there was a lot of stuff.
Really?
There was people, actors. They're scary. I went to this one thing and I didn't want to go anymore. I was so scared.
Wow. That sounds terrifying. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Hello, what is your name?
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn. Oh my gosh, so nice to meet you. So I have a question for you.
Okay,
What is your favorite youth event that Powerhouse Ministries puts on?
that would be the Halloween event.
Why?
Because of the huge movie nights and the extreme fun. Last time there was a VR track and that was awesome.
Really? Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing.
I hope you guys enjoyed that incredible highlight video from Wings and Worship this past week. It has been so good to have our youth students back together. If you haven't heard, we are meeting up again every other week. So the next time we'll be meeting is March 10th right here at 320 Montrose Drive. If you are 12 to 18 or you know anybody that's 12 to 18, make sure they're there because there's some pretty incredible stuff happening and they don't want to miss it.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Well, hey, we're going to just pray and get rolling right into our service. And so wherever you're at, would you just stand with us, and we're just going to proclaim the goodness of God and pray together. So God, we just come before you, and Jesus, we love you. We do all this for you, just to be with you, just to be close to you, God. And so Jesus, I just pray that today you would move in a powerful way for each of us that are here enjoying this service together. And God, we love you with all our hearts. In your name.
I won't forget the wonder how you brought deliverance, the exodus in my heart. You found me, you freed me, held back the waters from my knees. Oh Yahweh, you're the God who fights for me, Lord of every victory. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You have torn apart the sea, you have led me through the deep. Hallelujah. guiding light to my feet. You found me, you freed me, held back the waters from my release. Oh Yahweh, oh, you're the God who fights for me, Lord of every victory. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You have torn apart the sea, you have led me through the deep. Hallelujah, hallelujah. 'Cause you're the God who fights for me, Lord of every victory. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You have torn apart the sea, you have led me through the deep. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh, we believe you set us free, so we walk inside that truth. Oh, you stepped into my Egypt. You took me by the hand. You marched me out in freedom into the promised land. Now I will not forget you. I'll sing of all you've done. Death is swallowed up forever by the fury of your love. You stepped into my Egypt. You took me by the hand. You marched me out in freedom into the promised land. Now I will not forget you, God. I'll sing of all you've done. Death is swallowed up forever by the fury of your love. You're the God who fights for me, Lord of every victory. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You have torn apart the sea, you have led me through the deep. Hallelujah, hallelujah. 'Cause you're the God who fights for me. Oh, you fight for me. Yes, you do. Oh, you lead us through the deep. Lead us through the
When you walk into the room, everything changes. Darkness starts to tremble at the light that you bring. When you walk into the room, every heart starts beating, and nothing matters more than just to sit here at your feet and worship you. Worship you alone, Jesus. You alone are worthy. dead begin to rise, 'cause there is resurrection life in all you do. We love you, and we'll never stop. We can't live without you, Jesus. We love you. We can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus. So come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission. Our hearts are yours. We want you. We want you. So come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission. Our hearts are yours. We want you. We want you. So come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission. Our hearts are yours. We want you. We want you. So come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission. Our hearts are yours. We want you. We want you. We love you, and we'll never stop. We can't live without you, Jesus. We love you. We can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus. How we love you, Jesus. How we love you, Jesus. Everything we long for, everything we long for, we find our satisfaction in you alone.
A few years ago, I had this crazy encounter with God. And it was a season when I was really desperate for Him. And I was telling God, I want to know you. I don't want to just hear about the stories of you. I want to encounter you. And I want you to be real for me. And I remember it was a week where I was like really pressing into God. I was spending the whole weekend with Him. And the very night that I encountered Him, I thought nothing was going to happen. Because I was praying to Him and I was worshiping and still nothing. So I went to bed and I was like, well, I'll try again tomorrow. And as I was sleeping, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had to go to the bathroom. So as I was walking to the bathroom, out of nowhere, I saw Jesus walking down my stairs. And I couldn't really see Him, but I saw the glory and the light that was coming off of Him. And instantly in my head, I was like, oh my God, this is Jesus. I need to run and I need to hide. So I tried to run to my room, but as I was turning around, I fell to my face. And Jesus walked up towards me and He lifted me up and He looked at me in my eyes. And in that moment, the stories of Jesus were no longer a fairy tale, but He became real for me in that moment. And in that moment, I felt His love and I felt His peace. So as we sing this song again, will we be sensitive to God in the room? Whether at home, whether inside this room, will we be sensitive to a God who is present with us, the God who has already torn the veil, where we can be connected with God. So as we sing, God, come and consume, will we open ourselves to a God who is real and a God who wants to meet us tonight? So here we sing it again.
So come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission. Our hearts are yours. We want you. We want you. So come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission.
Hey guys, welcome to another online service. Today is the fourth part of our Flourish series. This is the last part. The first week we heard from Nancy, and then it was either Josh or Nancy. It went Nancy, then Josh, and then it was Kevin. Now it's me. I'm Lisa Levine. You probably know me. I am Powerhouse's communications director. And yeah, I'm going to talk to you tonight. So tonight's teaching is called Thinking About My Future. And we're really going to talk about mindset and thinking, and Liv's going to be in the background a little bit. So that's what happens when you have a baby. So what I want to talk about tonight is how, I'm going to use notes, our thoughts are the breeding ground of both our success and our failure, of whether we flourish or not. Tonight we're going to talk about Judas, the bad disciple, as some people know him, the one that betrayed Jesus. And unfortunately, you might find that you actually relate to him. I know that I do. When we look at Judas and his actions in the Bible, they actually tell a lot about where his head and where his heart is at. As much as sometimes we try to hide it, our actions tell where our head and where our heart is at. Sometimes even louder than our words can. Have you ever had somebody come and vent to you where it's kind of like they're a dump truck, like they're coming to you with like no intention of resolving the problem or trying to figure out like if they had any responsibility in it. They just want to they're desperate for this release of what's going on in their head and their heart. And so they just vomit it on you. The action of venting, or let's just call it what it is, dumping. Don't dump on people, it's not cool. Dumping comes from a messed up heart position. Someone who maybe had time to think things through and sat down with the Lord and said, hey, what happened here? Why do I have this explosive feeling in my chest and in my head? And why am I thinking these things? Somebody who sat down and thought through it, looking for true resolution and able to own up to their responsibility and their part if they had one. Totally different situation, right? Our mindfulness matters, and when we aren't mindful and we're also emotionally charged, we wreck things. Judas was a disciple of Jesus. We meet him first when, really just in a list, when they're listing off the 12 disciples, they're like, oh, and Judas was there. And then later in John 12, Judas is actually the one when the lady Mary comes and she breaks her perfume and it's all over Jesus' feet. And Judas is the one who says, what the heck is this lady doing? That's such a waste. We could have sold that perfume and given money to the poor. And that's not a bad thing, right? His heart wasn't in a terrible spot, but he totally missed what Jesus was doing. He was saying, it's enough just to be with me and I'll provide for you. Instead, Judas was well, is everybody going to have enough? He, at some point, this is what I think. I don't know if it says this anywhere, but it seems at some point there was a separation where Judas didn't see the value or believe it was enough just to be with Jesus. Judas later goes to the chief priests and asks, how much are you willing to give me if I betray him to you? He agrees to a sum of money and is on his way. Some would call him greedy, but I think he actually just had a poverty and an orphan mentality that he thought he would never have enough. Although Jesus, it's crazy because he was a disciple, right? So he was side by side with Jesus for a decent amount of time. Although Jesus told these incredible parables of God's love, he healed people, he brought a dead man back to life, Judas still couldn't seem to believe this over his life. The Bible doesn't really allow us to get to know Judas like we get to with some of the other disciples. But I think if you look close, you can see his heart. So he betrays Jesus, and if you know this story well, he regrets it, and he tries to give the money back. I'm going to read you from the Bible, Matthew 27, 3-10. It says, then when Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus had been condemned, he felt remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned by betraying innocent blood. But they said, what is that to us? See to that to yourself. They're like, that's your problem, buddy. And Judas threw the pieces of silver into the temple sanctuary and departed. He went away and he hanged himself. Ugh. I picture him alone, like, with these thoughts and, like, just such darkness of, like, regret of, like, how do I go back? Like, maybe it was enough just to be with Jesus. Like, how do I get back to those moments that were actually really sweet, but I thought they like, weren't going to do it for me. If he could have waited a little longer, Jesus would have died on the cross and the resurrection would have happened. And what we know about the resurrection is it meant forgiveness. I don't know what you believe about Jesus, but what I believe about him is that there's nobody that he isn't willing to forgive. He doesn't like pick and choose who he forgives or who he loves and who his favorites are. He doesn't really have favorites. And I wonder if Judas would have held on for a little longer if Jesus would have had time to visit him like he did the other disciples after he died and he rose again. When Jesus and the disciples are at the Last Supper, Jesus tells the disciples that one of them is about to betray him, that the time is almost near. And all the disciples don't really trust themselves enough to, like, know if they're going to be the one to betray him or not. So they're like, is it me? Is it me? Am I the one that betrays you? They're not as excited as I just sounded, but they're like, oh man, like, is it me? Like, I don't want to betray you, Jesus. And at this point, Judas had actually already betrayed Jesus. And he still kind of plays into it. Like, is it me? Is it me? Could it be me? Jesus responds, he says, the Son of Man will go just as it is written about him, but woe to the man who betrays the Son of Man. It would be better for him if he had never been born. Ooh, there's two major things happening here. It's almost like Jesus is saying, like, Judas, it's okay. This is supposed to happen. Like, it has to be one of you, and I'm sorry it's you. In the next breath, he says, woe to, which means the man who betrays him will experience deep suffering and grief. So much suffering that it would have been better if he had not even been born. I don't think Jesus meant God regretted creating Judas, or like he was saying how a kid would say, like, I wish you were never born. I think Jesus knew that the crippling weight of what Judas had to do so the resurrection could take place would be too much. And it broke his heart that Judas would choose to end his life before Jesus had time to physically even get back to him. This is an interesting teaching. I didn't really plan on talking about this, but we just want to pause and say, if you're struggling with mental health, if you're struggling with suicidal thoughts, that it's time to reach out. It's time to get help. There's people over in the comments that love you. There's people at Powerhouse that love you. And even if we don't have the resources that you need to get well and to get better, like, we're going to help you find them. So reach out to somebody if you need help. There was a time in my life, we'll kind of end with this story time. There was a time in my life when I was seeing a counselor pretty frequently because I was at a place, I wrote this down because I'm kind of a better writer than talker, but it's fine. There was a time when I was seeing a counselor pretty frequently because I was at this place where I just had no idea how to process my thoughts and my emotions, and I was explosive. I found some journal entries when I was, like last night, when I was finishing writing this, and I had written in this letter to God, I said, I can't even hear you through the hell in my head, but I won't give up. I know you're there. A few pages later, I flip, and there's these notes from one of the counseling appointments from around that time, and it had these 3 main points that I feel like were just crazy valuable for me, and hopefully they help you. Number 1, what you're feeling is information. Slow down, take time to understand why you might be feeling what you're feeling. Number 2, thoughts are just thoughts. Be kind to yourself. Dark thoughts may creep in, but let them just be thoughts and don't sit in them too long. Allow yourself to move past them without getting stuck in the shame that maybe you thought something that you knew you weren't supposed to think. And last one, my favorite one, don't forbid joy where joy is due. At this point in my life, when I was writing these notes down and kind of what was going on in the counseling sessions, is that we were like in between our first and second pregnancy. So I had carried a baby for 8 weeks, found out it had no heartbeat, and actually it died a few weeks, but my body hadn't like registered it. So I was like progressing in pregnancy with nothing, which was like, that sucked. And then I was pregnant for the second time, sitting in the counseling appointment and contemplating with this counselor, like, am I an idiot for like, we're at 8 weeks, there's a heartbeat, there's still another 5 or 6 weeks where something could go wrong, like just what happened. And like, are we idiots for telling everybody and like celebrating? And she was like, no, like, this is exciting. Like, don't forbid joy. Like, you can't just walk on eggshells through life because of one traumatic instance. That pregnancy also ended. But later, that following summer, so that was October, that following summer, we were pregnant with Liv. And I don't think if I hadn't sat, is that English? Is that grammar? I don't know. I think that if I hadn't sat in that room with the counselor and she said those words, don't forbid joy where joy is due, that I wouldn't have been able to enjoy pregnancy to the fullest like I did when I was pregnant with Liv. Like, I don't know if I've met anybody else that like had as much fun being pregnant as I did, and like childbirth, that was fun. Like, it was a good time. But it was because of like allowing God into like those darkest places of like, we gotta fix this. Like, I can't stay here. So I don't know where you're at in your head right now, but if you're stuck in dark thoughts and it feels like it's been too long since you've invited Jesus into your own darkness, we're going to do that together tonight. So this is how I pray. We're just going to do it together. So if you're at home, and maybe you're not a Judas, that's fine. Well, nobody wants to be a Judas. Maybe you're like not in this place where you're struggling with mental health, but I just encourage you to reach out to your friends and your family and just say, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? And yeah, so let's pray. So God, Jesus, we're just going to be still for a sec, because sometimes those thoughts are like really loud. And God, we just ask, would you like turn the volume down a little bit? Because we want to hear you. We want to know what you think. And God, we just pray that, we just pray for things to change. Like, we don't want to stay here. It's not healthy. We feel stuck. We know you're good. We know you're there. We know that you're going to speak to us, God, and we're willing to wait however long it takes. God, we just pray for our friends and our family that are struggling right now. God, would you just give them like that little like ounce of courage to just say, hey, I'm not okay. Maybe they just need a hug. Maybe they need more. Maybe they do need to like dump or vent. Maybe they need to vent. God, but we just believe you when you say you're good. And we believe you when you said we were forgiven when Jesus died on the cross. Maybe that's a weird thing to swallow, like I'm forgiven, like I'm okay. I didn't like mess up my life so far that I can't come back. Yeah, so Jesus, we love you. We're going to worship. There's one more song. We're going to worship and then stay with us. There's a few announcements at the end. We'll see you guys later.
Into your presence, God. We'll be quiet ourselves and wait for you. I'm caught up in your presence. And I just want to sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't know me anything, and more than anything that you can do, And I'm sorry when I've gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sing another song. Take me back to where we started and open up my heart to you. We're open tonight, and I'm sorry when I've come with my agendas. I'm sorry when I forget that you're enough. Well, take me back to where we started and open up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence, and I just want to sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave. Yeah. And I'm not here for blessings. And I'm not here for blessings. And Jesus, you don't know me anything. And more than anything that you can do, I just want you. And I just want you, and nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. And I just want you, and nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, and nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, and nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, and nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, and nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you. I just want you. We want you tonight. We want you tonight. Come and rest in this place. Oh, Holy Spirit, we're here for you. Oh, we're here for you. We're caught up in your presence. We're caught up in your presence. Oh, caught up in your presence. Caught up in your presence. Come and speak to us. Come and speak to us. Not just for show. It's not just for show.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. That was an amazing service. I just have to pause and say, Lisa, I love you. You're amazing. You are killing the game, and I hope you guys were as blessed by that as I was.
Yeah, leading up to our in-person Easter service in April, next week we are starting a new series called Last Words, where we're going to be going through the 7 last words that Jesus said before he died on the cross.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing time. Make sure that you're there. And again, if you are still watching this alone and just need a group to watch with, make sure you email us at info@phmfolsom.org. And hey, to get involved, volunteer, hit us up there too. We would just love to have you guys a part of our team. And until next time,
See
we love
you
you guys.
later.